Welcome back to View from My Window. Now, I want to talk about the women from Wilson. This will be part one because I want to do certain amount of people, some of the women, but I want to get into some of the OGs. I want to get into Miss Nancy, Miss Shirley, Miss Switten, Miss Laura, Miss Jackie, Miss Rose, Miss Cook, Miss Annabelle. So those were great women from Wilson that led with power, demanded respect. Can't forget Miss Brenda, that commanded respect. But first, let's talk about Miss Nancy. Miss Nancy Young was well respected. You know, the Young family, well respected out the Jets, from the men to the women. But Miss Nancy had a leadership vibe. People loved her, people feared her. It's just how it was. Her kids, her nieces and nephews, when it came to that family, she the one they called on. Now, I have a funny story about Miss Nancy. I lived on Taney Terrace, so Miss Nancy and them always lived on Jackson Street, but they had a house that she would come to on Belly Terrace, Breezeway House. And I remember this was a long time ago, me, Khalil, and Aaron and us used to hang in the back of Aaron and Khalil's house because, the alleyways was kind of like our roaming place back in the day. So we used to run through the alleyways late at night. And Miss Nancy used to always tell us, hey, stop running through that alleyway making all that damn noise. So, we would do it running back and forth. But I remember this one night, it was this gentleman banging on the breezeway walls of where she lived at. And I remember this gentleman kept doing it. Now, she told the gentleman, she's like, can you please stop banging on this window, even though it's outside, I can still hear it in my walls. So, he said something out of his mouth, something crazy out of his mouth, man. And we had already warned him, look, Miss Nancy ain't to be played with. She told you to stop. Shut your young boy, shut the hell up. I'm not doing my thing. Now, he must have was high or something, because the ass whooping that he took from that, Miss Nancy ain't have to move, ain't had to do anything physically. She ain't had to say too much. It was the respect that she commanded, and they tore him up, and he never done it again. Let's talk about Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley, she was another one respected. Now, Miss Shirley was respected not just out the Jets, but in the corporate structure as well, because she went from block captain to running the playground and running behind the scenes when it came to everything from like cookouts. If we needed to do things in the park, Miss Shirley was the one you would go to. Definitely she commanded respect. Miss Jackie, Minnie and Fatty Mom. Miss Jackie was always like an aunt to me, but she was no nonsense. She didn't play with us. She didn't play about those kids. If Miss Jackie told you to do something, you do it. Miss Jackie was always into the lottery. And I remember I would come around, I'd play on Wolf Street, but I always would see her. If we would like talk about numbers and stuff, and she would hear us shouting out certain numbers, she would write it down. She was real good with those numbers. I'm pretty sure that was passed down to the kids, but Miss Jackie was nothing to play with. Oh boy. So Miss Cook. Now, Miss Cook was Heather, Rodney, Ebony. She was like an aunt to me. My father was cool with her and her family. She was quiet, but no nonsense. Like, she didn't take too much from us hanging out, sitting on the porch. She didn't play that all lollygag on the porch, being loud, laid out now. And she didn't play with, when it came to her daughters, she didn't play with those guys when it came to her daughters. And she definitely, just because she was quiet and you ain't see her all the time, she definitely was well respected when it came to being out there in the Jets. Miss Rose. Daily Terrors. Miss Rose, she was like a grandmother to a lot of us, not just me. Yeah, I spent a lot of my time around there. Mom Dukes used to take me and my brothers and some of my cousins and Minnie and Fatty and us to stay over Miss Rose's house. So she was like, she was family. Sometimes she was too strict when it came to her church stuff, but she was family, but well respected. Even with Jay, Jay had Down syndrome, and everybody looked out for him because Miss Rose was nothing to play with, and she commanded respect. When Jay's outside, they made sure to look out for him, and that's how it always was. Growing up out there. Miss Brenda, I lived on Taney Terrace. Miss Brenda lived at the end of the block. She was respected too. She didn't play when it came to Tay and Rashawn. Rashawn was the oldest, so but she didn't play like she was the old head that nobody crossed her because you knew you crossed. She didn't play when it came to us neither. We couldn't just sit in front of her door without her coming out there telling my get from in front of my door. She didn't, and we couldn't cuss around her growing up. If on Taney Terrace, especially when it came to Miss Brenda, you get you cussing and stuff. She ain't play that at all, and we knew that when we seen her. Even as we grew up, She didn't play, so. That's what it is. This is part one of some of the great women. Miss Annabelle, another one. She didn't play when it come. She didn't play with her. We respected her. We didn't cuss and talk. We didn't cuss and do things around her because she had the permission from our mothers to pull that belt out and whop, 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 whop on it if she needed to. So Miss Annabelle didn't play. She didn't play neither. Well respected. Miss Laura, Kendall Buttermom, she is a living legend. I don't know why they ain't named. They should have named 25th and Jackson Miss Laura Lane because she created the Soul Survivor drill team from her own pocket early in the game. The Soul Survivors drill team from Wilson was the drill team, one of the best drill teams from South Philly, and they were from the Jets. Miss Laura was doing the drill team when nobody was doing it. When it wasn't a real big thing, she was doing the drill team, and she should be studied. She should have a street named after her for creating that Soul Survivor drill team. See y'all in part 2 of the ladies from Wilson. We'll get into that soon. View from my window.